Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here, and today I'm taking a look at a two-player card game of collecting cards and scoring victory points. This is Mandala. In this game, the player is going to be playing cards from their hand, timing when to play, trying to manipulate the pace of the game, and ultimately score the most victory points. You have to be careful with managing not just what's going on the table, but your hand of cards as well. So we're going to go ahead and cut to the table now. I'm going to give you a look at this game for only two players, and then I will see you on the other side of that for some final thoughts. The winner of the game is going to be the player who has the highest score at the end, and you are going to be scoring cards by playing from your hand to one of these two mandalas, and eventually when they are scored, claiming those cards, setting them into these spots to denote the value associated with that kind of card, with that color, and then having the ones you're actually scoring end up in this score pile over here. So you'll add up the values of these at the end, and the highest total will be, of course, the winner of the game. Everybody begins with 6 cards in hand, and on your turn, you are going to do one of 3 actions. The first one is going to be take one of these and add it to the center, or the mountain as they call it, in one of these two mandalas. So for example, I could play this card to the center of this one here, and I group it with the like color there. Once you've done that, you are going to draw 3 cards from the deck up to a hand of 8 cards. So that's the first option. Second option is you can play cards to your side of a mandala. And you can play as many as you want to, as long as they all match, in fact. So I could play all 3 of these yellows over here to this side of the mandala. And after that turn, you do not draw. And then the final option is you can discard as many as you want of a single color. So say I could discard a solitary card, for example, out of the game, and I draw as many as I just discarded from the deck back into my hand. You can do multiple discards, but they do have to match. The main rule to remember here that's going to dominate play is that each color can only be in one of the 3 places in each of these mandalas. It can be in the mountain, or on your opponent's side, or on your own side. So for example, if I make this play, this yellow color can no longer show up on the mountain or on my opponent's side. I could play more of them later on if I have more, just like I could have played this green to the center here, to the mountain, but I cannot have done this. I could not have played this green color to my side because it's already somewhere in this mandala. So you can add to it, but you cannot play it in 2 or more of the 3 locations. So there you go. That's how that works. So that might be my first play. I play there, and then I am done. I don't draw when I make that move. Then it's my opponent's turn. And my opponent might play, say, 2 of these here. And again, they don't draw after making that turn. It comes back around to me. I might play to the center here and draw 3 cards. And the game continues because you don't score these mandalas until all 6 colors are present. Goes back to my opponent there. They might play that card there. And again, they do not draw for that. Comes back around to me. I might play it here to the center, that one, and then I draw 3 as long as I can hold them, which I can. Again, hand limit of 8. And then it goes back to my opponent, and my opponent might, they might play here and draw 3 cards. They're hurting for cards, so they're going to do that. Comes back around to me, and let's see, I'm not holding the last color. I need 1 more to finish this, but I might play 3 of these, maybe even 4 of them. I'll play them here on my side of this one. So let's say I have finished it. Let me look for the final color. Let's say it's my opponent's turn over there. I'll give them an actual play. They're going to play, they're going to play there. But then let's say it comes back around to me, and I play this color here. All right? That is the final one. And now we take a look at this mandala, and we deal with it. I have more cards on my side than my opponent does. So even though they do have some, otherwise they would get nothing. They have to have at least 1. but I have more, so I'm going to take from the mountain first. And I can pick whichever color I want here from the mountain. So I might take this one. If this color is not yet represented in my scoring lineup here, one of those cards must go to the first empty spot, and any more that are there go to my scoring pile. And this says, for me, these green cards are worth a single victory point. Then it goes back to my opponent, and they might take, don't forget, they started with 2 cards over here. So they might look at these, they don't match these colors, so they don't really care. They might take that and put it there, and then the final one comes to me. We just go back and forth until the mountain has been emptied. This one goes here for me. And then the rest of these cards are discarded. We seed the mountain with 2 new cards from the top of the deck, and it's the next player's turn. And this continues going back and forth. Again, you can play on either one on your turn. You can play to the center, make it a richer spot, but you draw some cards, or play to your side, build up your strength, but you don't draw cards, right? Those are the 2 interesting, polarizing moves. Once the game is over, which will happen either when the deck runs out or someone has a card in every one of these spots, then we are going to score the game. So I might have ended up with some cards over here, maybe that, and maybe that, and then let's say my opponent did get to the 6th location up here, and I'll give myself a couple more here, why not? All right, so once that's over, I'm going to figure out what my score is, and they'll do the same for themselves. And I'm going to take a look. I began with a red card in my score pile. I never did take that color. It's worthless to me. But I got a few of these, and I got that, and that, and that one, and that one. So this is worth 5 victory points. That's 4 for 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, because these are worth only 1. And that's basically the game. So now you understand how it all works. It's all about that push and pull between building up the things you are hoping to win and making more cards, like I said, or controlling what's on your side, making sure you are stronger and will draft first, possibly more if there's an uneven number of cards in the center. But also, what's worth a lot of points to you, right? An orange card to me is simply much, much better than a green card to me. And also, of course, knowing which color to deny your opponent is very important. Sometimes you will play a single card to your side because your opponent now is denied that color on their side. So there you go. Let's go ahead and go back up top now that you know how the game works. And let me give you some final thoughts. That is Mandala, so let's go ahead and talk about this. This is a fairly obvious game to pick up from seeing that overview. So I'm going to try to focus here on the things that might not be readily apparent. I'm going to focus on how the game feels, the things I think the game is able to bring to the table that require a play session for you to really get that emotion and that sensation, we'll call it. Because things like the look of the game, things like the theme in the game, they're apparent. You got to see pretty much everything in the overview there. So I will get those things out of the way first, and in fact they are the 2 weakest things in my opinion. The thematic ties. The game is abstract, not in an off-putting way, which is why it's not getting a negative from me, but it is abstract. And I actually don't think the theme that they went with is a particularly good fit. I would have much preferred, instead of the mandala theme, a quilt theme. It would have allowed them to keep the square cards as a patch of fabric. They did not have to, they would have not had to make the 2 big circles in the center, which get a little cramped as you are playing cards to your side. They start to spill outside of the area they give you. I just think it would have been better. And it's still abstract. It still has an interesting theme. And it would have made it would have tied to something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, the quilting idea. I'll come back to it. The other thing is the aesthetics. The aesthetics are okay, but the board, while I like it, I found it to be divisive with several people I played with. A lot of folks didn't like that it was this big, creased, floppy board, made of fabric. So, and then also those mandalas in the center do make it a little cramped as you are playing. So that's okay. But again, and the illustrations of the mandalas themselves, they're fine. The other things I do like, everything else I do like. The replayability in the game is very good. The game has, and I'll just go ahead and start talking about this now, there is a classic vibe to the whole thing. It feels like a classic card game from 10, 20 years ago. There's an heirloom-ish feel to the whole thing. And the replayability, you ease into it very quickly. You know, the feeling of playing something that brings comfort and familiarity. Even though this is a new design, I have not played something that is really even that similar to this, right? When you get down to specifics. But there is a certain charm and ease to it that kicks up the replayability for me. Nothing is off-putting. Nothing here is a strong enough choice in the design that you would find that part to be a sticking point. The game length is good. It's about 30 minutes. There's some nice rising tension in the game. The first few plays there's not much to them, but as you start setting into place the cards that score really well for you, you want to try to manipulate the board to make sure you end up with those. So that's a nice amount of rising tension there. The ease of play is, like I said, very good. It's a clean design, you know. There's a little thinkiness. It's not to say it's an obvious play. This is not, you know, there are some classic card games out there, some, you know, rummy-esque game, or maybe some of the trick-taking games that are classics that sort of play themselves. And you are sitting down at the table and playing them just to do something while you're chatting with everybody, right? This is not that. There is some thinkiness to this, but it retains some of those feelings. You know, it retains that feeling of a familial endeavor, even though it is only for 2 players. So that's neat. And I think the ease of play ties to that, while giving you, again, a little something to think about. And then lastly, tactics and strategy. There are fun choices here. Yeah, there's luck. You're drawing from a deck. You don't always have the color you want, but it's par for the course in this game. That is part of what makes it fun. I need to find that final, you know, color to close down this mandala, and you're playing to the centers and drawing those cards. So that works out. I did not find that to be a negative, in my opinion. I liked it. It was part of the game, and it felt like a natural part of the game. So the game is engaging. At the end of the day, the tactics, a little bit of strategy, but mostly reacting to what's going on, feels like part of the package, natural part of the package, and an engaging part of it. So I do like this one. This is a neat design. Again, I think because it does feel like an heirloom-ish kind of game, like I said, I think the quilting theme would have gone over well. It also makes sense a little bit more that if you are playing patches of fabric to one section of your larger quilt, that you would not also add them to another. It's a stretch no matter what, because the game is abstracted. But the mandala theme doesn't have anything to do with that idea that if you play them to the center, you can't play them to one side or the other. I think a quilting theme would have worked a little more smoothly, in my opinion. But that's my own thing. Let me give you my bottom line here. A clever and clean design coupled with the simple scoring and minimalist look make the game look and feel like a classic card game. The kind that should survive the passage of time. This is going to get an 8 out of 10 from me, which is a seal of approval. And I certainly approve of it. I enjoy it very much. I would recommend it for folks looking for something they can throw in their bag and take on a trip. You know, something you can sit around after a nice meal and play. Maybe a lazy Sunday morning kind of play. There's a lot of opportunities for playing something like this, I think, you know, and I could see it being a game that does stick around and becomes a classic for many families. I think that would be lovely. So there you go. That is Mandala, 8 out of 10. Like I said, seal of approval. Check it out, folks. I am Zee Garcia. Thanks for checking this out with me. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.